And now back to our regularly scheduled programming. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the X episode of my review show. I don't actually remember. Today we're doing So Many Birthdays, the episode where Steven gets really old and almost dies. Now, let's get to what I like about it. So for the first thing that I really liked in So Many Birthdays, I liked what they did with Garnet's character. This is the first time we've ever seen her not be the one to solve all their problems. And the scene with her, where she shakes Steven, is actually kind of brilliant, in a way. It starts off, the music stops as Garnet walks up to Steven. The gems stop arguing. Everyone's looking at her like, oh good, Garnet's gonna figure it out. Garnet picks up Steven and starts shaking him like crazy. And it's the whole scene, and the music comes in and it's like, it's good. It's very good. It sort of shows, hey, Garnet's not perfect either. Because up to this point, she seems like the one who solves everyone's problems at the end. And that's obviously telling us, hey, she's not a human, obviously, but she's human too, and she messes up a lot. Honestly, there's a lot of other stuff with it, but that's basically the main crux of what I really liked in this episode, was the way Garnet's portrayed. As, hey, she's also human, she's not... Because with Arcade Mania, they made it think, oh, Garnet's so badass and cool. This one's like, hey, by the way, she's also human. Again, not actually human, but you get what I mean. Honestly, it's my favorite part of the whole episode. It's just everything about the way she acts in this episode is just, it's very good. Very, very, very good. For the second thing I really liked how this episode basically says Gemstone Age and that they're not human. The season is very good at this, basically saying, without directly saying it, hey, gems are not people, they are a completely different thing. They can summon weapons, they can shapeshift, they don't die from aging, and all this other stuff. I like it a lot. They don't come out in the first episode and say, hey, we're aliens, or not human. They instead slowly build up the idea that they are something else beyond human. It's not a huge thing, but I really enjoy it. It's a great part of season 9. That's just, I enjoy it a lot. For the third thing I really like, there's a moment in the episode where Steven basically says to Lars, everyone's going to grow up without you and you're going to be alone. Not that directly, but basically implies that. And the look on his face basically hints towards the idea that Lars has self-esteem issues and wants to fit in, because he looks terrified. He's like, it hit a fear of his that at this point we didn't know about, because Lars had only been in a few episodes, which you can infer those ideas because he's obviously an angsty teenager, and those are angsty teenager fears. But this episode, without saying it, sort of implies that, which obviously there's later episodes with Lars that go more in depth with that, but this episode sets up the idea of that. It's like a tiny little thing in the episode. You could easily miss it. I obviously did the first time, and I'm sure everyone else did as well. But it's great. That's great writing. Being able to hide something like that in the episode is just... Season 1A, I gotta be honest, I didn't think it was that good when I went in. It's actually very good, so... I'd give it a rewatch if I were you. Another thing that I liked a lot was how this episode, kind of like Gem's Love before it, hints towards the idea that Steven's powers are connected to how he's feeling, because obviously the age he is externally shows how he's feeling internally. Again, this is also talked about Steven's birthday, and obviously they eventually say that his powers do come from his feelings, and Steven floats. It's not a huge part of the episode. It's one of those more background things that you notice when you go back and rewatch it, but it's obviously, I like it a lot. I wouldn't mention it if I didn't think it was great writing, which it is. Season 1A is very good at that in general. I would really recommend rewatching it if you're like me. Before I rewatch it's like, season 1A, whatever. It's not important. Nothing really happens. Maybe a little world building, but that's all. Nah, season 1A is really good, and this episode's a prime example of why it is. And for the last thing I liked, and the most important thing in this episode, in my opinion, is how it's starting to set up the idea that the gems don't understand Steven, both who he is and also what he is. This is very important because obviously the rest of Season 1A, Season 1B, Season 2, a little less so in Seasons 3, 4, and 5, at least up to this point, but this is a very important theme throughout the entire show, that the gems don't understand who Steven is or what he is. And the Gem's sort of starting to figure that out. And this was because there's that part in the episode where Pearl says, Gems don't die from aging, but he's half human. Like, it just occurred to her that, like, he's not 100% Gem, that he's also, 50% human. I don't know. I think it's amazing writing. That's to basically, without saying that, imply that they really don't understand who he is. Obviously, later on, they go more in depth with this, with like, oh, Steven being upset because nobody understands him. One of my favorite parts of the whole episode, definitely. And now for the part I hate doing, what I don't like. There's one scene, and this is, again, kind of like all of Season 1 stuff, kind of petty and not really that big of a deal, but a little more than most. The scene with the cars, where the Gems basically tell Steven they don't want to do this. The Gems feel kind of out of character in it. Like up to this point, it's pretty clear the Gems would do whatever they want to make Steven, or whatever Steven wants to make him happy, right? So to basically come out and be like, we don't want to do this, and clearly he put a lot of time and effort into it, just feels weird. And it just kind of fit in with the disconnect between the Gems and Steven, but it's still a bit off. And Amethyst is mean. Like, she's always been kind of an asshole before, but she's just straight up mean, almost mocking him. It's Amethyst especially is really weird in this one scene. And the issue with that is this creates the conflict of the episode with Steven thinking, oh no, it's for babies and I need to grow up. If this was just a one-off thing, and this scene was forgettable, it wouldn't be even worth me talking about at all. But because of what it is, I do feel a need to say it's not bad, honestly, because the conflict needs to come up in the first place. And there's other ways you maybe could have done it, but this is the easiest, and honestly, it's not horrible. It's not. I dislike it. It's not bad. It's I mean, it's not great, but it's not horrible. If you understand what I mean. I'm not trying to put down this episode too much because it's honestly, I'm going to say it right now, one of my favorites besides maybe Gem Glow and Tiger Millionaire. I really like this one a lot. Let's just end the dislike here because I could go on for a while, but it's not worth it, honestly. It's not a big deal in the episode at all. And now for the final verdict, and I already said it previously, but I really like this episode a lot. If we ignore the thing I don't like, because again, it doesn't really matter, this episode is very good. It honestly, it's a great, setting up Steven as a character, setting up the ideas the Gems don't understand him, setting up Garnet's character and how she's not as perfect as everyone thinks she is. It's a good episode. Also even setting up Lars and how he has his issues. It's a very, very good episode. Very underrated. Maybe the most underrated episode I've watched so far. And yes, I'm including Gem Glow in that, because I went this one going, okay, whatever, Steven, yeah, it kind of shows how the Gems don't understand Steven. That's cool, but that's all there is to it. Nah, there's a lot more to it than that. So yeah, that's it for today. Sorry if, the emoji movie thing was not your thing. I have actually made a separate channel for stuff like that, because I actually really enjoyed making that a lot. So the link should be somewhere on my channel if you can find it. If not, let me know and I'll send it to you or whatever. There's nothing really, I don't have an exact idea of what the channel's going to be. It's just going to be for anything that's not Steven Universe related. So the emoji movie stuff or whatever. But we'll see what it does. We'll see how it goes. I'll see you guys next time. Yeah, see you guys later.